Alright, doing this TWID a little bit differently this week because there is a lot of stuff here, but there's a bunch of stuff in here that I'm not sure what it's really going to change right now until after the updates drop. The updates for the Sandbox changes will be March 5th, which is the same time that your bounties are going to reset for Ada 1, so just be ready. Everything's going to change March 5th. But yeah, so with that being said, we're going to hop into it. I'm going to give a brief TLDR on everything, but I'm not going to be going super in-depth into every single thing just because there's a lot here, and there are some things that, for one, aren't worth me putting in here, and two, it's not really known how that's going to affect the Sandbox. So yeah, I know Sandbox changes are real big, but I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't know the exact numbers on everything right now. Ensnaring Slam is getting some changes because it's really strong in PvP. Same thing with Threaded Spectre, and because of that, Threadlings are getting nerfed, and then the Warlock Melee is going to get a buff because they're trying not to ruin the identity of the Warlock's Strand class. Restoration Radiance is getting some fixes where it wasn't working before, kind of resulted in some buggy timers and your timers resetting and stuff. Ember of Mercy sounds like it's getting a slight buff to where picking up a Fire Sprite extends your duration by 2 seconds. And if you don't have Restoration when you pick one up, you're going to just get Restoration for 2 seconds. Hopefully this also works with Restoration times 2, because currently if you have Restoration times 2 and you pick up a Fire Sprite with Ember of Mercy on, it resets it to times 1. So hopefully that will be fixed with this change. Ember of Empyrean is getting a duration extension from 12 to 15 seconds, and instead of it being the 4-second timer, it's going to be based on the enemies that you kill. So each enemy will be a different amount of time added to your timer. We don't know what those times are though. Concentration is getting a buff in its distance, so very good there. Gunpowder Gamble is getting its self damage reduced from 144 to 80, thank God. Heavy burst hand cannons had a bug on M and K, so they should feel a little better when in the air or when firing from the hip. Bows are getting all around nerfs in their auto aim fall off distance start and end, and their maximum auto aim cone size. Breakneck had a bug to where it didn't have target lock. Lightweight Scouts are getting a 5% damage increase, which goes from a TTK of 4 crits to 3 crits 1 body. Sniper Rifles are getting their auto aim cone size reduced by 10%. Rocket Launchers, Precisions, will be getting 2 extra reserve ammo, and then the penalty will be changed from 10% to 5%. So it's basically a 5% buff in the damage that it currently does. High Impacts will also be getting the 2 reserve ammo, and will be doing less impact damage and more detonation damage, which makes them more effective against groups, and it still keeps them effective against bosses. And these changes also affect Deathbringer, Gallahorn, and Truth, which I think is funny because they just nerfed Gallahorn earlier this season. But Deathbringer and Truth will go from 9 reserves to 11, and Gallahorn will go from 10 to 12. Heavy grenade launchers are going to see a nerf to spike grenades. I really don't understand the numbers. They're on the screen, so let me know what that means because I'm lost. And then they're going to be getting some extra reserve ammo, as well as damage both to impact and detonation around the board. We'll look at the numbers whenever the update drops. Wave frames getting an increased damage by 20% and increase their wave width by 40%. Caster swords are getting their heavy attack cost reduced from 5 to 4, and then their heavy attack damage increased to 16% more. Exotics, we have Vigilance Wing getting deterministic recoil. Vexsmith class getting an ADS damage fall off scalar of 1.7 from 1.5. Wishender is getting a nerf to True Sight being activated and how long it's up. Edge of Action is getting a damage resistance added in PvE by 85% to everything except bosses, which will be 15%. Manicore gets some ease of use. Extyrus will get a 50% damage increase and 17% rate of fire increase. Heal Clip will now grant the user Cure times 2, while its allies will only get Cure times 1. Trench Barrel can now be activated with ranged melee attacks. Barrel Constrictor will stay activated for 7.5 seconds, or if it's enhanced, 8.5 seconds instead of being consumed on your next shot. Loose Change, when applying a debuff, you get 20 aim assist, 20 reduced ADS movement speed penalty, and then the plus 50 reload. Dual Loader will now just be Dual Loader. There is no reload speed penalty. Vortex Balance stock will gain 20 range and plus a 1.5 degree hipfire precision cone angle. What does that mean? I don't know, but 20 range sounds good to me. And that is in addition to its other effects. Bunch changes with Hake Breach Armaments, Deconstruction, and Sundering. You can read those if you want. Hatchling can either get a precision kill or 3 non-precision kills. Target Lock is getting a nerf on SMGs, going from activating at 12% of the mag to 20%. Enemy Assassin is going from 150% of the magazine to 100% of the magazine when refilled. Bait and Switch is being reduced from 35% to 30%. 1-2 Punch now correctly deactivates after dealing damage with a powered melee. And then Deconstruction, update the perk description to correctly state if it pulls ammo from thin air, not reserves. Fix the bug preventing the perk from activating when shooting a Titan's Barricade. Fix a mod where mini bosses were applying to major spec instead of boss spec. We get into the changes for the Crucible Sandbox, which are the things that I'm not going into because there's a lot here. Player health is going up by 30, and then cooldowns for your melee, grenade, and class ability now have a 15% penalty, and your supers have a 20% penalty. These are only in Crucible. And then they increase the damage of them, 16% for your melee, 16% for arc flux grenades, and then 31% for supers. You have Pulse, Autos, Sidearms, Scouts getting their increased crit damage by 14%, Hand Cannon crit increased by 10%, Body Shot damage reduced by 5%, reduced flinch from hand cannons by 12%, and by explosive payload by 10%. SMG's crit damage is increased by 12.5%, body damage is reduced by 3%. Bows reduced base damage by 15%. So basically the health is going up. All of these weapons are going to stay exactly the same except for bows. Bows sound like they're moving down, which is good. I'll take it. Special ammo is changing. You're basically going to spawn with 2 ammo, and you get to keep that if you die, if you get revived, whatever. And you can earn more ammo. You get different points based on kills, assists, capturing zones, picking up heavy, depending on the game mode. So those numbers will be on the screen. But basically your objective is to get 100 points. So get enough of these points to fill up your meter that will be on the side of your screen, and you will be able to get 2 special ammo shots back. Kills from special ammo weapons or heavy weapons don't count towards the meter. Jumping off the map subtracts from the meter, so deaths are good for your meter unless they are self-inflicted, and then it takes away from your meter. Ammo is not dropped on death. You keep your ammo if you die or if you're revived. Like I said earlier, special ammo will carry between rounds, and then if you swap from double primary to special to try and get special ammo, it will reset your meter completely. They're also increasing special ammo damages across the board. Trace, fusions, and shotguns are going to get increased by 20%, as well as Glaive's projectile damage, but Glaive melee damage will be going up by 16%. Heavy grenade launchers are getting reduced by 5%, and the machine guns are going up by 20%. Hello, Xenophage. Exotics. They're basically decreasing the damage for Fighting Lion and Devil's Ruin in its beam form. And then Crimson is getting its flinch dealt to players reduced. And Forerunner and Symmetry will both be getting damage buffs. On the screen is the emblem. Here's the code, which I'll also put in the description. There's also a huge sale. If you go to this link, which I'll try to remember to put in the description, humblebundle.com. I'll put it in the description, hopefully. Basically, you can get Forsaken Shadowkeep, Beyond Light 30th Anniversary, The Witch Queen, Lightfall, and the Annual Pass, which includes Ghost of the Deep and Warlord's Ruin for $40. Now, one thing it doesn't mention is if you get the dungeons from last year, which would be the Vex one, that's Cowboy, that I can't remember the name of, and Duality. It doesn't really say. I have no idea about that, and I can't confirm anything about it. But, yep, that is pretty much it for this week's TWID. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing, click the notification bell so you get notified when I make new videos, because I make new videos like this all the time.